So we are here to gather tonight on Wednesday night. Thank you so much for being here with us. And good evening. Welcome to the first 1510 to 1540 Parkmoor HUB Development Community Meeting. I'm really excited to be here with you guys tonight. I recognize a lot of familiar faces and spoken with a lot of you already. So it's really great that you guys are here to share your thoughts and provide your input. I'd like to really thank you for your time in general and for tonight and your participation. And I really appreciate you being here with us tonight. As many of you guys know, my name is Macy Leung, and I'm a senior project manager at Allied Housing. It is a pleasure for us to be here, and we appreciate this opportunity. And we recognize the county's ongoing commitment on creating a wonderful project on Parkmoor that includes a hub, a youth-led and organized community dedicated to supporting current and former foster youth ages 15 to 24, and accessible and affordable housing options. And we're excited for our partnership with the county, the community, all public and private stakeholders, including you guys. And tonight we're here to listen to your perspective on the project, and we will be asking for your input on specific planning and design elements as well. We're looking forward to hearing from you. And again, thank you for being here tonight. Next slide, please. And this is our meeting tonight. I believe you guys have received our flyers. Next slide. So our agenda tonight include an overview of the project and site history by the County of Santa Clara. And we will hear from Nayeli, a wonderful hub youth who I had the pleasure to work with and hear from in the past, who will share the mission of the hub. Dawn from the county's Department of Family and Children's Services, also to share more details of the hub. Destination Home to share their perspective on why this development is important. Then we will share a project overview and team introduction, our current community outreach effort to date. Then our architect, HKIT, will share their site analyses and will facilitate 3 breakout rooms to get your input on the site and the project. We'll come back to the main room and report out and share everyone's feedback and next steps. I will also be posting 3 Google Jamboard links into the chat for your reference and a Google Doc with the link, so you can post your comments anytime during the discussion, or if you have any additional thoughts, comments, and questions after this meeting on an ongoing basis. Again, I would like to thank you specifically to the following people. Next slide. Thank you for Supervisor Cindy Chavez's office and Supervisor Susan Ellenberg's office, Councilmember Deb David's office, the county's multiple departments, overall County of Santa Clara, and the City of San Jose. And the next slide. And I'd like to thank you all of these organizations and neighbors that I have spoken with, including VTA, San Jose City College, all of the neighborhood association. Thank you so much for sharing your input to me to date. And I look forward to continue working with all of you guys and continuing the dialogue and getting your input as our project move forward for your input to shape our project. Next slide. With this slide, I'd like to introduce Andrew from the County of Santa Clara. Andrew, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Macy, and really thank you to everyone on this call for taking time on their evening to come talk to us about this important project. My name is Andrew Barnes. I'm with the county. I am in the Office of Supportive Housing. We go by the OSH acronym. I'm in the Housing Development Division, and I am the Senior Housing Development Officer, the project manager in charge of this opportunity. A little background about this site and how we got here. The county acquired this site at 1510, 1540 Parkmoor in August of 2017. Currently, the existing conditions are that there are 4 vacant office buildings on the site. These office buildings were built right around the late 1970s. The genesis of the project is to relocate the existing hub into a larger, more functional space from its existing location on King Street over to this one. It's also a really wonderful opportunity to co-locate housing for youth with on-site services. the analysis that we've done for this site, and you'll see this as this presentation unfolds, is our belief that this is a really well-located site for both the services and the programming contemplated for the hub and also for the residential use that we'll talk about as well. Thank you. Next. So how does the project, how does the development get built, and who does that? Part of what we do at the county is we look to a developer qualified pool of affordable housing developers. This is a developer pool that we set up through a competitive process. So when we have county owned land just like this, we go out to our qualified pool and we solicit proposals based on the vision for the site that the county has for it. And then we bring in the developer's vision as well. Specific to this site, we issued what we call an RFO, request for offer, in December of 2020, soliciting proposals through a competitive process. Allied was recommended for a development partner, and then this went to the County Board of Supervisors, who approved the selection ultimately as the approving body in May of 2020. So Allied Housing is our development partner for this project, and we're really happy to have them on board, given their breadth of expertise in both the development side and in some of the services side related to Allied as well. Next, please. What is the housing opportunity? This is an opportunity for affordable housing with a focus on focus on transitional age youth. And I'm going to use the acronym TAY, but really it's youth that are in this transitional age. In taking this youth and adding to it complementary target populations into the housing portion of the site, we're looking at approximately 81 units in total for this project, and that's an approximation. The affordability levels, the unit types, in other words, how many bedrooms and what the affordability levels are, is still being evaluated. As also, we're looking at successful models for similar projects with similar objectives and looking at the mix that is in those developments for who's going to live there and what the affordability would be, what the unit types are. So we're under that evaluation process now at the county and in cooperation also with our development partner, Allied. So that's how that's some history on the site, a little bit about the housing opportunity, and then another just so important piece of this development, this project, is the hub piece of it. So I'm going to turn this over now to my colleagues to talk about the hub and give an overview of that. Thank you, Macy.
Thank you, Andrew. And now I'm really excited to introduce Nayeli. Next slide, please, to introduce the hub and the hub's mission.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm really glad and excited to be here presenting you our hub's mission as well as our recommendations for the new building. Just to give you some background information of the hub's mission, the hub is a youth-led organization and community. We are dedicated to support current and former foster youth ages 15 to 24. The hub is a space for youth to feel a sense of belonging, to feel empowered, and we do offer a variety of services that are offered by peers and other caring community members. What it is, it's a one-stop center. We provide a robust array of services for youth to ensure that they will be successful in their lives. It is a safe, inviting space for youth to have their own community and build that sense of family. We do offer services to services are trauma-informed and culturally responsive, as well as our programs are informed and designed by youth, specifically the YLC. Our recommendations for the new hub, including for the new housing at the hub. So I have multiple. First is housing to be provided only to current and former foster youth ages 25 to 29, as well as to juvenile involved youth. Our second recommendation is have a separate lobby entry for housing residents that is away from the hub. Our next recommendation is to include child supervision care to be provided during services. So when a youth comes in to receive services, there can be someone supervising their children. Our next recommendation is to include more career-focused resources, include more legal advice resources housed at the hub. We would like to grow the Hub Mart and offer parenting classes. We would also like to see and recommend to have separate lobbies at the hub for members and non-hub members. For example, one lobby for OA students and housing residents. Our last but not least recommendation is to offer a messaging system for the hub to use as a tool to communicate with its members about services, news, and events that come up. And I'll pass it on to me.
Thank you, Nayeli. That was fantastic. We really appreciate your perspective and your mission. I'm going to turn this to Dawn from the county.
Thank you, Macy. Thank you, Nayeli. For our audience members, I want you to visualize yourself when you were 18 years old, maybe 25. Will you be prepared to live on your own, pay your own bills, confident that you have what you need to succeed on your own? What skills and support systems that you need around you to get to where you are now? You see, the hub provides access and more. It empowers the foster youth while developing their leadership skills. They have peer support, access to independent living programs that prepare them for life beyond age 25. There's access to housing assistance programs and supports. They have access to medical and other wellness services, educational support, including assistance with completing the FAFSA, scholarships, educational coaches, financial literacy, and tax filings. There's also paid internship programs, career development, credit checks, repairs, and some legal advice. Lastly, as Nayeli had pointed out, it is a community center for our youth to host special events, celebrate each other's successes, and host holiday events. Our foster youth, the hub for them is the community center. So this project will allow the county to construct a state-of-the-art center that is youth designed and allows for expansion of services, including access to additional housing units. That's going to create increased ability, well-being, and life outcomes. So with that, thank you, and I want to turn it over to Chelsea Muller. I'll go back to Macy.
Thank you, Dawn, for the fantastic overview of the hub services and programs, and we really appreciate what the county is doing for the youth and the foster youth in our community, and we're honored to be a part of this. I will turn this over to Chelsea from Destination Home.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chelsea Muller. I'm from Destination Home, which is a convening organization ending homelessness in Santa Clara County. I'm pleased to be with you all this evening. Our community continues to face a dramatic shortage of housing, especially for our lowest income neighbors. And this development will help fill this gap while also bringing valuable resources to the community. According to our latest homeless census, we know that 19% of individuals experiencing homelessness are youth and young adults. We also know that 19% of those experiencing homelessness today were previously in the foster care system, several citing aging out of the foster care as their primary cause of homelessness. We at Destination Home are excited to see this project come to life and look forward to working with the Office of Supportive Housing, Abode Services, and Allied Housing as they bring this great asset to our community. We really appreciate you all being here this evening to learn more about this project, and thank you in advance for your input.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. And thank you for Destinations Home for your illuminating statistic and overview. So we're going to go to the next slide. So I wanted to do a quick self-introduction of our project team. All of us are really happy to be here. Of course, you heard from Nayeli, our Hub Youth, fantastic ambassador for foster youth. So thank you, Nayeli, again. Good to see you. Of course, thank you to the County of Santa Clara. I will let Andrew Natalie Consuelo introduce himself in the county.
Hi there, Andrew Barnes, House of Supportive Housing.
Natalie Monk, Office of Supportive Housing.
And I don't think that Consuelo is on just yet.
Okay. And how about Dawn and anyone from the county? You just shared yourself.
Sure, Don Long, Program Manager with the Department of Family and Children's Services.
Anyone else in the county? And I see Amy. Hi, Amy. Yes, go ahead, Amy.
Hi, everyone. Amy Nguyen. I'm from the Office of Supervisors in Chavez.
Great, welcome. And we have City of San Jose. I believe a few folks are from the city, but if you would like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, feel free. If not, welcome. And then on the development team, Allied Housing, my name is Macy, Senior Project Manager. I have Louis and John. Louis, you want to introduce yourself and others?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Louis Chiquin, CEO of Abode Services and Allied Housing. I'm very pleased that we're part of this project and pleased to be here this evening.
Thank you, Louis. John?
John White, Chief Real Estate Officer for Allied Housing. Happy to be here and to present this project.
Thank you, John. And we have John Stewart as our property management team. It's Warren and Hub, you heard from Don. Housing Services, that would be Louis as well in our team. And architect, wonderful architecture team. We'll start with Rod.
Hi, I'm Rod Henme from HKIT Architects and happy to be here.
Thank you, Rod. And others can self-introduce.
Yeah, this is Paul McElwee. I'm principal at HKIT Architects, and we're really, really thrilled to be part of this project. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time tonight. Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa Lau, project architect on this project. Akshata, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Akshata. I'm a junior designer on this project.
And Vicky?
Hi, I'm Vicky Huang, and I'm a junior designer as well.
Hi, Macy. This is Elena with the county. I'm sorry I couldn't get to my camera and mute button earlier. I'm with the Career Development Unit, CDU, County of Santa Clara, serving TAY Youth and Employment Services. Happy to be able to hear more information about this great project.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you unmuting yourself and sharing and introduce yourself. So welcome. Am I missing anyone from county, city, and our great project team? If not, I will be moving on to the next slide. And I'd like to introduce you again to Louis, who will be sharing a little bit about Allied Housing and Abode Services history.
Yes, good evening. So Abode Services is one of the largest homeless service providers in California now. But a number of years ago, we realized that we needed to actually be involved in creating housing opportunities for people who are homeless or in danger of being homeless. And certainly the TAY population is definitely within the area of being in danger of homeless, as you saw from Destination Home statistics. So we're really excited to be part of this project. And we're going to be part of this project primarily through our development entity, which is Allied Housing. And we develop affordable housing with supportive services throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. We're doing quite a bit of work right here in Santa Clara County. Matter of fact, the largest amount of our work is in Santa Clara County. We have great partnerships here. We really enjoy working with the various parties that we get to partner with here. So, in short, we are focused on providing the three legs of the stool for a project like this, which is the A team on our development, and Macy has done an incredible job with this project so far. If you haven't had a chance to chat with her, I invite you to do that. She's a great wealth of information and has a great gift for listening to people. So I invite you to do that. We're also we also have many projects throughout the Valley. We provide the supportive services. We'll be doing that for the housing component here, but those are services that are different and distinct from the services that are provided in the hub, which we've already heard just a lot of description of. We're very excited about building a space for the hub and collaborating with the services in the hub to get youth that live in the housing engaged in those hub related services. So I'm going to, you see more up on the screen here. I'm going to leave it at that, let you read and also ask us questions later if you'd like to know more about us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Louis. I appreciate that. Next slide, please. So I wanted to share a little bit about our project at the preliminary stage. And we're at the very beginning stage, and we would love to hear your input at this point to help us shape our project. So at a glance, Parkmoor HUB, our project, consists of a new hub on the ground floor. We've already talked about what the hub is, and we have up to 81 residential units on the upper floor. It will be a new construction, and it's going to be a tax credit finance project. It'll be very sustainable, all electric building. There'll be no gas in the building. It's on a 1.62 acre site, and the county will be demolishing the existing vacant structure. The ground floor hub will be focused on providing services and being for foster youth between 15 to 24 years old. It's affordable housing on top. And we're going to have surface parking and car stackers of parking, and it's going to be a wood frame with podium. Next slide. And our overview of project schedule, we begin our community engagement as soon as we got the award of the RFP, which is May of 2021. We're going to be working with the county on the development and disposition agreement in October. We're in schematic design phase up until Q2 of next year. Then we're going to start design development and go through funding application until Q2 of 2023. Construction documents permitting is going to be 2022, the whole year. And we're expecting construction start to be Q2 of 2023 and completion the end of 2024. And we're going to begin lease up before we finish construction. So we're going to start in Q2 in 2024. Next slide, please. So as part of the process of working with you and the youth and the community, we wanted to make sure we listen to everyone's input. So we have extensive outreach, one-on-one meetings, focus group, phone calls, Zoom meetings, neighborhood association meetings. But we also have 9 large sessions that we wanted to have chance to talk to hub staff, the youth, the vendors or partners at the hub, and also with the communities with you guys. So where we are is we're at the listening session. We're here to listen to everyone, and that's today. And we're gonna have 2 more sessions after this to follow up with everyone, incorporate all of you guys' input in the next 2 months. And so our next session is gonna be visioning, taking everyone's input, putting them on different drawing boards, coming up with options, and then coming back to you guys and sharing with you guys where we are, and then get more input. Then afterward, we'll do the design and then incorporate all of the visions, what we learned from today, and then go through the design and then come back to you guys again to share where we are with the design. So I'd love to have everyone back again for the next 2 sessions and also any ongoing one-on-one Zoom meeting you want to have with me directly or HKIT's team. phone calls at any point continuously, because there are a lot of great feedback from what I've heard from the community so far. So thank you everyone for your input so far. So next slide, please. Next slide. So as part of the engagement processes, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from the youth, from all the county staff, partners, and stakeholders, community members in City of San Jose and City of San Jose as well, all of your local neighborhood association, local businesses. I have ongoing one-on-one meetings on a weekly basis, Monday and Wednesday, and you can email me, parkmoor.hub, or my name, M. Leong. And I also have set up a Google Sheet that you can go anytime and provide comments, input, anytime you would like. I will check on a daily basis. I also put it in the chat box so you can use that link. We're going to plan on having dedicated website, social media, email newsletter from me. If you want to opt in, I will send you updates on the project from my email, and also signage to show what's going on the project site. And so our approach with working with all of you is we want to listen to you. We want to get your feedback. We want to continue to dialogue and engage with you and include your voice in everything that we do. And we have outreach, we have interactive design sessions. Today's one of them. Because of COVID, we have to do on Zoom. Normally we'll do in person, but in this case, we'll use breakout room to make the most out of technology. And then I've sent out a lot of mailers already to you guys. Next slide. So I've reached out to all of the neighborhood association shown on this map and on this side already and invited everyone. And I believe I have spoken with a lot of you already. So thank you for your time again. But I'll continue to reach out, and if there's anyone that wants to talk to me and wants to meet with us, our team, to share with your vision, feel free to do that as well. Next slide. And I've also sent out a flyer and postcard to everyone within 2,000 feet radius of the site. So everyone who lives within that circle and everyone outside of that circle should actually have received a flyer or postcard. I believe some of you, Jim, for example, received that. So thank you for joining that. I really am appreciative of you being here because of the postcard. And I've also reached out to all of the businesses and schools, Parkmoor Plaza, Sobrato, everyone on this list I've spoken with. I've also been on site to go talk to every single businesses that are pink and also in the green, to meet them, to invite them to our meetings, and to talk to them one-on-one, to understand what their perspective is on the site and the neighborhood and how they feel about this project. So an extensive discussion and had a lot of valuable insight and input. So thank you for that. And schools, we work with City of San Jose. I reach out and have a great, San Jose City College is right next door, and Basis and Avenue School. So in addition, reach out to VTA because there are a lot of bus stops on site, and the San Jose, various different organizations. So again, thank you everyone for your input so far. We really appreciate your thoughts. Next slide. And this is yesterday's Buena Vista Neighborhood Association meeting, and I'm happy to go back again to talk about design. If you guys want to include us in any of your neighborhood association, we'll do it via Zoom or whatever avenue you would like us to. I know in person we're not quite there yet, but we're happy to share where we are and get your input. Yesterday's meeting was fantastic because there were a lot of input in terms of the design and the sustainability. So it was really valuable to hear residents' concerns and also feedback and their ideas of what the site can be in terms of the design. Next slide. So next, I'm going to turn this over to Rod and Paul from HKIT to share a little bit about their in-depth evaluation and understanding of the neighborhood. So Rod.
Yep, thanks, Macy. So we want to go through some aspects and evaluations that we've done. It'd be great to get your input to make sure that we've covered everything. You can see we'll be going through on the left site context and then neighborhood context. Next slide, please. Here you can see, I think most everybody knows where the site is, but just in case, the corner of Meridian and Parkmoor, north of 280. It's a triangular site with Parkmoor on the north is up in this drawing, and Parkmoor Plaza is on the top above the site. Meridian obviously is and Parkmoor both are busy streets. Next slide, please. This is zooming out a little bit. So here you can see the site in relationship to Parkmoor Plaza across the street, and the various office buildings to the northeast, and the neighborhoods both to the southwest and to the northwest. Next slide, please. Here, the relationship to the neighborhoods, with the Buena Vista neighborhood being our immediate neighbor. Across the highway is the Rose Glen neighborhood, and also Drake Fuller and Sonoma Midtown are adjoining to the east. Next slide, please. Transit is actually, the site is very well located for transit, with the Race Street station very close by, and bus lines just across the street with the 64B. So it's actually, and of course for cars, it's very well located. So it's a very convenient site for transit. Next slide, please. And then schools, libraries, and daycares. This shows the locations of all those facilities. What is really convenient is City College being within a 5-minute bike ride, and quite easily accessed. Next slide, please. We also have healthcare and fire station sort of civic institutions. The Santa Clara Valley Medical Center, notably, is also quite close by, about 3/4 of a mile away, and as well as other healthcare institutions. Next slide, please. And then parks, the O'Connor Park, Buena Vista Park, and the great soccer field at Del Monte Park are quite easily accessible. So there's some good recreational aspects available. Next slide, please. And groceries, a lot of times a site like this, groceries are quite far away, but in this case, it's just across the street is one facility, the Food Max, and then Safeway is just a little bit down the street. So it's really well served. Next slide, please. And then there are some restaurants and fast food outlets that are also close by. So that the site is well served by that. Next slide, please. And so this puts it all together and puts all of those aspects, and we think, in other words, that the site is well served and offers a lot of amenities within an easy walking distance that oftentimes are not available for residents in an affordable community like this. Next slide, please. So next we would like to talk about the site a little bit. Next slide, please. So this is zooming in a little bit, the site being in green, and the blue lines being vehicular circulation. So as you know, there's that exit on the south side of the site from 280 that feeds onto Parkmoor. Cars coming off at about 50 miles an hour, not really slowing down. So there's a lot of fast traffic along that western edge of Parkmoor. Meridian Avenue, as you all know, is quite a busy street. The bus stop is just across the way. The Ray Street station that I mentioned is a very close walk nearby, and that allows people to access the light rail system totally. And finally, on the left edge is that pedestrian bridge, which is a little steep to get up there. But if one doesn't want to use the pedestrian bridge to get to the south side or to City College, you can just walk down to Lee Avenue, and it's just a little bit further, and it's very convenient to cross over there. Next slide, please. And then one thing that we wanted to make sure that you're aware is we have a site that's about 70,000 square feet, but a third of it is not buildable for buildings. We can, the portion along Parkmoor, that dark color, is there's an easement for utilities that doesn't allow buildings to go close to Parkmoor Avenue. So we're proposing that for parking since we can't put our building there. The green portion, which is to the southern area, that is the only area we can build on. And you can see that the hub, the 17,000 square feet we're showing, is about the size of that facility. So it takes up quite a big portion of that green area. And then finally on the far left, there's a cell phone tower in the orange. That's existing to remain, and we don't have control over that. So, so that's part of that unbuildable easement area. Next slide, please. And then pedestrian circulation, the purple indicates sidewalks, and there's a sidewalk on the north side of Parkmoor and goes all the way far west. The south side of Parkmoor, where our site is, the sidewalk stops at the west edge. And it stops there because there is no sidewalk on the rest of the south edge of Parkmoor. So we will, so what that means though, is that we want to really encourage the youth and our residents to be using the crosswalk on the east edge of our site so that they're crossing and using the sidewalk on the north side of Parkmoor, and they're not cutting across in the middle of the site. So we're really going to try and make sure that we encourage the crosswalk to be the main crossing. And right now it only crosses on 3 sides, not on the 4th side. And the hub entry, that star there, shows the idea that we will just place that very close to the corner so that we can encourage people to cross there. Next slide, please. And then trees, we have one large oak tree in the middle of the site. You can see the picture in the upper right. It's really quite nice, and we'll be working hard to preserve that. And then there's a really nice buffer of tall existing trees all along the highway, and then some along Meridian Avenue as well. So that provides a nice screen from the highway. Next slide, please. Sun paths. During the winter, which is the bottom arc, the sun rises in the southeast and sets in the southwest. And then the one at the top, which is the summer solstice, the sun rises from the northeast and sets in the northwest. And our site is actually fairly well positioned for good sun angles. Next, please. And then this is a section or cut through the site with a highway on the left and Parkmoor in the middle and Parkmoor Plaza on the right. And then that green tree next to Parkmoor, that's indication of the existing tree. So the hub will be on the 1st floor, wants to be there, wants to have access to outdoor space. And as I mentioned, it's quite a big space. And then the housing will be above that and will be a smaller footprint. And then we have the buffer of trees from the highway. Next slide, please. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about pedestrian and traffic. This was a city commission street safety study that indicated, for example, the visibility comment on the left is about the cars coming off that exit. They're coming at a fairly high speed, and it's hard to see the traffic coming from behind. The pedestrian safety about the hub crossing Parkmoor, and the same for the proposed new high school, which would be on the northeast corner of Meridian, and that there'll be youths crossing those corners too. And then finally, there's a comment there that says pedestrians are constantly walking on Meridian, even though there are no sidewalks, but that's the only way to get across the highway at that point. So it's understandable. Next slide, please. There is a proposal, as you can see in this drawing, to try and improve the traffic safety for pedestrians at the corner of Meridian and Parkmoor. And they would, this drawing shows, number one, that 4 crossings would be provided instead of just 3. Secondly, that the corners that are now these big rounded corners that make it hard for pedestrians to cross. You actually have to cross 2 places in order to cross the street. One is the big curved drive, and then you get to the island, and then you cross again. Well, if you fill out the corners, or what they call bulb outs in yellow, that makes it safer, because then you don't have those big curved drives that people tend to go quite fast. Secondly, they're proposing islands in between to that makes it sort of safer again. And finally, totally striped crosswalks, so they're very visible. So those are proposals to increase pedestrian safety. So with that, we'd love to, that's the analysis that we've done, and we're now looking forward to hearing your thoughts and ideas.
Thank you, Rod.
Wonderful.
And I will turn this over to Paul from HKIT.
Yeah, thanks, Macy, and thanks, Rod, for taking us through that analysis. We've really been spending a lot of time out on the site and getting to know the neighborhood. And this is a part of the session tonight where we really like to get feedback from everyone who's taken the time to join us tonight. We really want to incorporate everyone's vision as we begin to embark upon the design. We're going to have some key questions that we're going to want to get your feedback on. So what we're going to do is we're going to break into smaller groups. So we have give everyone the chance to provide some feedback. Can we go to the next slide? Really important that we make sure that voices are heard. We're going to have an opportunity in the next several minutes and to make sure we get everyone's feedback and help to define our vision. Can we go to the next slide, please? There's several areas of design that we would like to gather feedback on tonight. Specifically, the exterior experience of the site and the way that the pedestrians and other means of access to the neighborhood, the experience from there. We'd like to talk a little bit about art, how we can incorporate art into this community, and as well as sustainability. It's a really important priority, and we'd like to make sure that we get feedback on that as well. And finally, some of the visual styles and aesthetic that we can start to think about as we move forward with design. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we're going to break into small groups. We're going to go from this session into 3 breakout rooms. And as we go into these breakout rooms, we're not meeting in person. Usually we would have in front of us a board or something where we can take comments and notes. Tonight, we're going to be using what's called Google Jamboards. It's a virtual whiteboard, and it's very simple to use. It's going to give us a chance in each of these breakout groups to collect feedback. And rest assured, we have the ability, if the Jamboards aren't available to you if you're on a phone or wherever you are tonight, we will take your feedback, whether it's through chat or comment if you want to unmute. We're going to make sure that everyone's feedback is heard. Next slide, please. So the Jamboards, what we're going to do is once we get into the breakout rooms and have a chance to introduce ourselves and each other, we are going to put into the chat. And if folks who are on the call tonight, if you look at your Zoom window, you'll have looks like a little sort of text bubble there. That's the chat. We're going to put in the chat a link, and the link is going to go with your breakout room. If you click on it, it'll automatically open up this view. It will appear on your screen, and your browser will be this whiteboard, essentially, with a row of buttons on the left-hand side. These buttons are all the features and the controls. And basically what we're going to do is just collect feedback and notes on stickies. So this button in the middle left of the screen we'll bring up a little notepad, and you can go ahead and produce your feedback. And as we get into this activity, it'll make a little more sense. We'll have some questions and images for you to look at and to respond to. Next slide, please. As we get into groups, we're going to take about 30 minutes to go through the questions that we have. We have about, I think, 11 or so Jamboards that we're going to look at, and we're going to get feedback from everyone. And we're going to ask for a volunteer for each one of the breakout rooms, someone from, in this meeting from the community, at the end of our 30 minutes, we'll come back and we'll convene as one large group and just give a brief, 3-4 minute report on some of the main points that were discussed in our group. So we will be calling on volunteers to help us with that and provide us a summary. So with that, next slide, please.
Thank you, Paul. So I have the breakout rooms ready, and I will be putting you guys in the breakout room. And once you guys are in the breakout room, the facilitator from HKIT will put the Jamboard links again in the breakout room. And then we're going to do an icebreaker. So everyone's going to go around and say, what's your name? What's your affiliation? And what is your favorite part about living and or working in the city of San Jose and the county of Santa Clara? So with that said, we're going to have half an hour, and I'm going to open all room. Then we're going to come back to this session, the main room, and going to do report out. So we do need one volunteer from each group to report out. So I will see you in half an hour.
So Macy, this is Rod. Just going to say it's now 6:51. So. Go ahead. Okay, hi everybody. We are now in our breakout group. So the first thing we wanted to do was to have some quick introductions. So if you are able to add the sticky on the Jamboard and indicate your name and neighborhood if you live in the neighborhood, and secondly, we just go around and verbally mention it so that everybody can do that. But we thought it'd be a good idea to have a little written record of everybody. So if you wouldn't mind adding the sticky. Okay. So maybe everybody can unmute. And let's go ahead and quickly introduce each other. Maybe we can go ahead. Well, Andrew, you've already introduced yourself, I think. Rod, I've already introduced myself. How about you, Michelle, next, and then Karen?
My name is Michelle Jones, and I am a community resident of the Buena Vista neighborhood.
Great. And what's your favorite part of being in San Jose?
And Santa Clara County.
Oh, my favorite thing. Let me think about that. What's the next question? I'm sorry. What's the next question?
No, that was it.
Oh, just the two questions. My favorite thing in San Jose is the innovation.
Oh, great. Okay, Karen, how about you? You'll need to unmute. Karen, you need to unmute first.
Yeah. All right. Now
there you go.
I'm unmuted now. I'm Karen Armour, and I'm from First Congregational Church that's down on Hamilton and Lee. And one thing I like about the county and the city is that it's so innovative in looking at the ways that it looks for things that it can do for youth and, you know, adults and everybody, you know, that it's very proactive in what it does.
Great, thank you. And Jan, we haven't heard from you yet.
Hi, everyone. This
Hi.
is Jan Stokely. I was going to say innovative, but since two people have already said that, I'll say my favorite part about working in San Jose and Santa Clara County is how people collaborate to get things done. And this project's a great example.
That's great. Okay. Everybody else has been introduced, but does anybody else want to contribute their favorite thing in San Jose and Santa Clara County? Go ahead and unmute and speak out.
I'll go. I grew up in Santa Clara County, and I want to say that, you know, the diversity of food is just, you know, you can't beat.
Yeah. I was actually going to mention the Vietnamese food I think is really outstanding. Anybody else?
I can go.
Yep.
I'm from San Jose. What I like about it, so I was in Berkeley for school for a couple of years and coming back, I like how peaceful it is and how much better access there is to open space compared to being up in East Bay.
Good point. Okay, anybody else? All right, let's move on to the next slide then. The next question we have for all of you is, how can the site be designed so that it feels welcoming to you? What are the kinds of aspects that we as designers really need to consider? And I think this can be anybody. Anybody just go ahead and unmute and speak out. Nobody? Well, I might have to then start calling on people, being my ex. Sorry?
You're unmuted. We can hear you.
Yeah, Karen, is that you?
Oh, you can hear me, but I couldn't tell that I was unmuted. Sorry, I'm just looking at the sign here. One thing that I always like to see is a very open entryway, you know, so there's no barriers up to, you know, visual or actual barriers up to people when they're coming in, and great signage. I worked in a library for 37 years, so signage and welcoming is something that's really important to me. So
that's great. Good comment. Okay, who else?
This is Jan. I would say informal gathering spaces, maybe outside and inside. So rather than just all offices, some places to sit and chat and meet with folks other than, you know, across a desk.
Yep, good point. No, I think that's important. And this can be everybody. This can be, you know, Natalie and Don and Andrew. All of you can all say you're part of our planning team here. So pitch in here.
I like beautiful landscaping.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a really important aspect. And on a site with a kind of busy street frontage, landscaping can go a long way toward providing buffer and much different internal world for the site. So we can definitely pay attention to that.
I feel like color palettes can be welcoming or not welcoming. You know, like warm colors rather than like gray colors.
No, colors play a big role. Absolutely.
I definitely think contemporary designs, something that's definitely appealing as a facade, and it's affordable housing, but it doesn't have to look like it's affordable housing, right? It should be very appealing to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the fact that it's affordable housing doesn't mean that the goal to have really good design is any way changed at all. We oftentimes think that our buildings, or we at least try and make our buildings as good as any buildings, such that people don't even know that it's affordable housing. So, Michelle has her hand up. Natalie saying.
Yes, I want to piggyback off of Jan. And this is something that we brought up also in our meeting last night. It's an art wall.
Yes. Art wall would be great, definitely. And we have a question about the inclusion of art as definitely something of a concern. So thank you. All right, anybody else before we move on? Okay, let's go on. So how can it be designed to feel welcome and supportive to the hub's youth? And as you've heard, this is for transitional aged youths who are coming out of foster care, trying to make a new independent life. And so they're a group that have challenges, and definitely we want to provide an environment that supports them and helps them become independently living adults. So any thoughts on how to make it particularly welcoming and supportive to them?
Well, I'll speak up again. This is Karen. One thing that I think is to encourage them to have input into what they see as welcoming and supportive. Because what we might see may not be what they may not interpret it the same way. And if they have a part in it, they're going to be more willing to come there too, because they felt they will have had part of the been involved in the building of the place too.
Yep, no, excellent point. And in fact, we are doing simultaneous meetings with the youth as well. We've actually had one meeting with them already. And but you're absolutely right. When people are participate in a process, they are invested in the process, and they have a chance to feel like the design is part of them as well. So great comment. Anybody else?
Maybe words of inspiration and encouragement.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. So that maybe there's some inscriptions somewhere on an edifice that basically says, this is your home.
So that's great. I did a building for Glide. It was affordable housing in San Francisco for Glide Church in San Francisco. And the art in that case were words, poetry. Actually, Janice Mirikatani worked with the community and the neighborhood to develop words of poetry that were about the nature of home. And those words were then placed on the side of the building at the entry. And it was really beautiful. So that's a great idea. Anybody else? AC, you haven't said anything.
I'm here to listen.
No, you should.
It's not my, yes, I'm
Yeah.
here to listen.
All right.
I think as you think about art, figuring out how it's constantly being replaced and updated by the art from the, most recent group of participants, as opposed to putting something in place that's there for the next 55 years, right? Trying to think about, maybe there's some of that, but then maybe there's some that's constantly being updated, curated and updated from, the participants of that moment.
That's a good point. Yeah, and being dynamic and keeping it fresh. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Any thoughts on how to improve the pedestrian experience? Because not much of a pedestrian world right now. And we've heard a lot of, we've heard from some of you, I think, that of concerns for that. Any ideas here?
If it could be done, a crosswalk, even though we will do our best to encourage and numerous times explain to the youth that they should use the crosswalk, we do know that may not happen. They may, because they may just think it's easier to jaywalk coming from, for instance, Food Max over to the Hub Center. But that could turn out to be dangerous.
Yeah, it's hard to prevent that kind of thing unless you end up putting up barriers, which really doesn't work either. So, okay, that's a good point. Definitely, I really hope that the city will move forward with that traffic calming proposals for the intersection, because doing all of that makes it more pleasant, makes it easier, makes the walk shorter when, instead of, like right now, you have to cross over that curved drive first, get to an island, then you have to cross again. So hopefully they do that. Any other thoughts on this one? This is a hard one to solve, obviously.
It definitely is. And I'm thinking, inevitably there's going to be people who's going to jaywalk anyway. So might as well put another crosswalk with flashing lights at the end where the sidewalk ends. So at least you have the visual signal for folks to, that there's a pedestrian there and that they should stop. Right. And initially, I'm also thinking having traffic enforcement folks, either like a patrol officer or a motorcycle police officer who could give out warnings, so just be at presence and let people know that there's people walking.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to propose to try and get a pedestrian crossing on the west edge of the site, because it is about a block. It is a block away, so that's a good idea. We can try that. All right. Anything else on this one? All right. Moving on. So this we've already talked about a little bit about this, but your thoughts on the inclusion of art, and we put these 4 examples in here to just stimulate conversation a little bit. The one in the upper left was actually became the name of this complex. It was called the Monarch. The one on the lower left is was related to Glide Church, and so that there was a social justice issue that became the theme of that. The one to the right of that in the middle, it's a little hard to see, but those are, this was done by, in connection with a group of high school youths from Oakland high schools. And the gray band line is the line between water and sky. and there's 3 ships along the gray band, and then below there are waves, and above there are clouds, and they're on wires, so they move when the wind blows. And so that's a mobile piece. And then the one on the lower right is in the Mission, and obviously the Mission has a great mural tradition, and so that yellow piece in the middle is a mural that will be done by one of the Mission murals. So we've already heard that you think you mentioned words. You mentioned that it should be dynamic. You mentioned that it's important to include. But any thoughts on art?
Well, I'm thinking about all of the murals that are in downtown San Jose that have been done, that something like that would probably be really neat there too. And I don't remember who the artists were. I just know I have a friend that works downtown and she loves, all of the artwork that are on the buildings down there, that how it's kind of changed downtown San Jose.
Great. Is there any specific one that you'd suggest we go take a look at?
I haven't seen all of them. I've just seen some that she's taken pictures of,
Okay.
I know she probably has pictures of every single one of them. So, we can ask her what she thought about it because she loves taking photos, but it's certainly something I could pass on if I get any suggestions from her about it.
I think it should be
I
youth
really like
inspired. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say there's a really nice one under the overpass, right when you're getting off of 280, that has all these blue rings and they light up at night. It's really pretty.
My thought was, here's an opportunity to really empower youth some more and let them help design or come up with the type of artwork that resonates with them. And among their peers and current youth that we work with, some of them are really great artists too, and they have some really inspirational thoughts about, as art goes for them.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Don. That mobile piece that I mentioned was done by a group called Civic Design, which works with the high school youth and teaches them. In this case, they were using 3D cutting technology. So it's a means to give them a skill. And so they develop the art idea with youth, and then they have them fabricate. And so we could try and get them involved, or a similar group, and try and make that happen. That's a great idea. Anybody else about art? It's a pretty prominent site right at Meridian and Parkmoor. So in those terms, it couldn't be highly visible, and the art could contribute to that visibility.
I know that the county is supposed to be listening, but I was wondering if you had given any thought to letting the Hub youth design some of the art, or if that might be possible.
Right. I think that's something we definitely should consider. Absolutely.
Along those lines, at a property that we're involved in, a group of youth with autism developed some art, and then it was incorporated into class throughout the structure, throughout the building. So there's so many different ways to use art, so many different media. And the other thing I wanted to say is, wouldn't it be great to do something with the parking lot? I mean, parking lots are just such a boring waste of visual space. I have no idea how you could incorporate art into a parking lot, but I think that this would be the project to try it.
Well, it's interesting because, with the Black Lives Matter, so many of the statements have been on streets and on paving, and it's become a real palette And it's actually quite beautiful when viewed from above. So yes, the parking lots are a possibility. It's an interesting thought. All right, anything else? Move on to the next one. So the next two slides, actually, first the sustainability and then the next two slides. So sustainability, any thoughts? It's important to us. It's important to our team. We anticipate photovoltaic panels to help to offset water heating loads, for example. We'll have high sustainability or high efficiency water heater, high efficiency heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, healthy materials, so the interior air environment is good, low water usage for the exterior, the vegetation, and low water use facilities, toilets, showers, etc. But any thoughts from any of you on sustainability? Things that you think we should watch out for, we should try and include, aspects that are important.
I'd like to say one thing then. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to leave. I need to go. My church is doing a safe car parking, hosting it next month, and I need to go do the transition for the guests. So,
okay.
One of the things I'm thinking about sustainability is, have you thought about doing gardens on the roof at all? Or having anything green, that's actually live up on the lower part, maybe on the hub, not on the higher part of the building, but that would actually return something to people.
No, that's a good suggestion, and that is something that we would want to do. Yeah, I'm sorry to lose you, but thank you for participating up till
You're
now.
welcome.
It was great to hear you.
And thank you for all that you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye. All right, any other thoughts on sustainability?
So Rod, I noticed that there's a lot of trees lining the freeway area, so that creates a sound barrier for the housing complex. I'm wondering if this thought around gray water capture and using that as irrigation for the plants and trees that surrounding the property.
We can definitely look into it. It's usually gray water capture means that you have to treat it before you can use it. So, but we'll put it down on the list of things that we should explore as possibilities. Actually, I don't think we will be watering the trees off-site on the freeway side. That would not, we would not irrigate those from our side. Yeah.
But there will be trees in the parking lot and the surrounding area.
Absolutely.
We have
Absolutely.
Things.
Okay.
I mean, I think that could be a return on investment in terms of the cost analysis, right? If putting that kind of system is going to reduce the expenditure in water consumption and those kind of things, even though we have a drought going on right now.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Now we should move on to our last two slides, which are we have two slides showing aesthetics. Maybe you can show the next one too, Akshata. So we just wanted you to sort of maybe pin the ones that you like the most and the least, or you go back to the first one and then we'll do that first. Or you can just call out ones that you like in terms of what you think. If you can move that so we can see the issues. Oh,
I want to just say thank you, Michelle. I just got your text. It's good to see you again. And if there's any other comments, we can meet again in the Buenos Vista Neighborhood Association or talk again. So thank you for coming. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Anybody? Because we only have a few minutes left, let's quickly. Anybody has favorites? And I think county and everybody can weigh in here. Okay. There's one. That's good. Anybody else? It's not too many here right now. By the way, we didn't choose a spokesperson to report out, and now we only have one resident, I think, left, right? Jan, are you able, instead of us reporting out, would you mind giving the brief report from our group?
Yeah, I can try. I'm not a resident, but I work in San Jose.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not a neighborhood resident.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. That's fine. And you can use these slides. Well, let's see. I guess, yeah, I guess, how can we get her the notes? It'd be easiest. Yeah, maybe, I guess we can show these slides, right? Which have the notes, and then that would help guide you. Okay. All right. Anybody else on this one? Let's move to the next one. We have 15 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
I thought we were going 30, Macy.
We have more than 30 so far. We're almost at 40. So.
Well, I mean, we started at 10 till, and it's now 20 after, so that's 30 minutes. Are you saying how much longer did you want to go?
How much time do you need? Our breakout room is 45 minutes because we are actually a lot less time than we had spent earlier.
I thought we were going to have the 15 minutes for the report out.
I think we should keep going, and then we have to keep.
Okay. All right. Okay. The top middle one is obviously a really brightly colored piece, quite different than the others. For FYI, the one in the bottom on the middle, that's the Moore Park supportive housing building we're doing, which is just across the highway at Lee and Moore Park. So that we were trying to make a distinctive corner in that case. So any favorites here?
I'm struggling with this because they're so small. It's hard.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Maybe you can blow.
I like the more rounded corner, and I like the warmer colors. But yeah, it's hard to choose at this size.
Yeah. Well, but that's a good comment to hear. So when you say the warmer colors here, are you referring to this one that was just enlarged, the yellow and the orange and the brown, or not? And I think you're muted. I was asking if you were, when you were mentioning the warmer colors, were you referring to the top one?
Yeah.
Top middle?
Yeah. The top middle, and then the rounded corner of the lower middle. I like that.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, all right, let's move on. I think the next one was choosing 3 of this list that are the most important. As you can see, foster youth, affordable housing needs, proximity to transit, parking, pedestrian experience, traffic, proximity to grocery and restaurant, proximity to schools, security, access to sites, sustainability, and proximity to healthcare. Are there any items here that are the most important for you? maybe we can start with Jan and then we'll move down and just ask some other people too. How about you, Jan? What do you think?
I would say 1 and 2 for sure.
Mhm.
Some of the others, I mean, it's a great location in respect to some of the others. So it's kind of a given, but
Yeah.
I would add, I guess, sustainability.
Okay. So why don't you put 1, 2, and 11? Yeah. Okay. Others. I mean, I think we should get input from others because this is. How about you, Don?
I definitely agree on 1 and 2 as the top priorities. But I'm also thinking pedestrian experience because it's this, again, it's, if you look at the population that's going to be living and being there, right? They may potentially be young families with children. And so what is their pedestrian experience getting to parks and grocery and other things that are within walking distance?
Yep, good point. How are you, Natalie?
I mean, I definitely agree with 1 and 2, and I have a similar thinking as Don, so I would say 3 also.
Okay, great. Well, our group is diminished here. Okay, let's see. Anybody else here? Akshata, you should, since you're almost a neighbor. How about you?
Affordable housing needs. Probably proximity to schools, which it is proximate, but I do think that that's important. And security. It's not nice to live in a place you don't feel safe.
Okay, well, put that one down. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one.
I'll let chime in here. I know it's supposed to be listening,
Missy.
but I've heard a lot of feedback from different residents. And what I hear is 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 9, and 11 are all really important. So these are all things that I've heard from different residents.
Great. Let's see, 1, 2, 6, 9, and 11. Okay. All right, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 9, 4, 5, 6, 9, 11. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next one. So, any additional comments or questions beyond what we've raised here? Any other thoughts that you think we should hear before we dig in, start work?
I have a question. Will there be a parallel process with the youth, or will there be a time when the two discussions come together? Have you thought about that? Are they parallel or do they intersect?
They're parallel at this point. I'm sure that Macy would think that the youth could be invited to attend these community meetings if they wanted to as well. Wouldn't that be possible?
I defer to Dawn to answer that question. So we have a focus group already, Jan, with the Hub's youth, which was really fun. And we're going to have more session with them too. And we're working with the youth directly to get feedback on the Hub. And our next step is we're going to get feedback on the Hub and also the project in general too. But Dawn, I know you unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think there is, just honoring the process. I mean, we, as for any kind of residential or capital improvement projects, there is impact to the community and those kind of things. So I think it's important to hear from the neighbors, but I also think that because the hub is going to be the primary user, will be the resident, the youth. I think there is, the voices need to be captured, and I don't object, or I think it'd be a good idea if they want to join in and in other forums as well. But I think there should be a collective discussion around that with the other parties.
Okay. Yep.
Natalie, do you have any thoughts? Given you're one of the project leads.
No, I tend to agree. Is there something specific you're looking for my feedback on? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. I mean, the question was posed to me in terms of you reflecting on additional inclusion of youth during these community events. Right. So I think because it's open to the public, I mean, technically anyone could attend.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're more, the TAG folks are more than welcome to attend these meetings too. I think these are broader than the specific focus groups that are intended for the TAG. But I think they're certainly welcome to attend both.
Yeah. Jan, did you have a particular thought
The
on
only
this?
reason I asked the question was because it was great to hear from Nayeli, right, tonight. And I would just personally love to hear more from the youth and what their vision about this is. But I also understand the need for parallel processes. So that was where it was coming from.
Okay. No, it's a good point. Okay.
Yeah. I was just going to add it maybe that the community at large is interested in some of the feedback and takeaways. If there's any kind of high level points that come out of the TAE focus groups, it may make sense to also note that feedback here.
Great. Okay. Jan, just so we all know, what is your background and connection to the project?
I work for a housing nonprofit. We focus on supportive housing for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so we do have young people with intellectual and developmental disabilities who are former foster youth. And so I just excited about the project for that reason.
Right. No, actually, of course. What's the name of your organization?
Housing Choices.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, I forgot, but I believe I met you, Jan.
Architect on some of our projects.
We went after a project and we didn't get it. With
Yeah.
So,
and you're also the architect on the Santa Clara project.
Yes. That's right.
And on a couple of our existing properties. So yeah, our paths crossed. And
yeah, of course. Okay,
great job
Jen.
tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're participating here. It's a great viewpoint that you're bringing. So, all right. Shall we rejoin the group? We're about on time then, I think, as you said, Macy.
Yes, we have 2 minutes, but I can close the group, so we'll do that.
Okay. Thank you. So Akshata, can you do a screen share when we're do our report out, please? Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Water or anything like that. Oh, I think we just lost our breakout room. Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I think majority of you guys are back here. Again, thank you so much for your time. I know everyone's very busy, so I really appreciate you guys being here tonight and sharing your opinion. I would like to recognize all of our facilitators and HKIT and county staff who participated and shared your opinion as well. So with that said, I'd like to turn this over to Paul to facilitate and get a volunteer from each team and a resident community member who represents the team. So group one is Rod's, I believe. Rod, you're muted.
Yeah, group one folks want to make sure we get some of your feedback summarized. So if you have someone who's your volunteer spokesperson, maybe take 3 or 4 minutes and give us some of the top takeaways from your discussion within your breakout room.
Okay, so this is Rod. Jan, if you could do a quick report out, and if Akshata can do a screen share, she can show our slides with quick notes.
Great. So you can see here who participated. We had some neighbors participating and they had to leave before we got back to this point. The theme about what we liked about the county and the city was innovation, collaboration, access to open space, and the calm nature of living here. So we had some great ideas for making the site more welcoming, an open entryway so there's not barriers to people when they're coming up, with great signage, informal gathering spaces inside and out, beautiful landscaping, warm color palettes. Think about contemporary designs that are appealing, and an emphasis on art with an art wall. And then thinking about how it can be supportive to the hub's youth. We really appreciate how much involvement there is in the youth in the project already, and we want to encourage that because they have their own unique perspective. Michelle talked about incorporating words of inspiration and encouragement throughout the building. And then we talked a lot about art and maybe having art not just outside, but inside and throughout the building that could be replaced and be more dynamic, so that when they're new residents, there's just an opportunity to constantly participate in the art process at the space. Next slide. The pedestrian experience, we really see this as a serious issue to make the property welcoming, but it's also a larger issue. And there was a focus on what can we do to discourage jaywalking and encourage use of the crosswalk. Don had an idea about having a crosswalk with the flashing lights at the other end of the site, not just at the intersection. And then, maybe having traffic enforcement be involved. So the inclusion of art, we feel like that's a unique and important aspect of bringing the project to life. And Karen pointed to some of the impact of murals in downtown San Jose as an example. And Dawn emphasized empowering youth to be involved in the design. And And then we we talked about all the different ways to incorporate art, including like what can we do at the parking lot, so that it's not just an empty, meaningless space for cars. Sustainability is a big priority. Some of our thoughts were green roof, gray water capture that may or may not be feasible. But it's definitely a priority for our group, that the very high level of sustainability that this project is aiming for. Next. So you can see we try to pick out the projects that we like the least. It was a little bit challenging because the pictures were so small, but here's a couple of ideas of what people like the least. And then going on, we also tried to choose something that we like the most. We liked the warm colors in the upper middle. And we like the rounded corner. It's more softer than some of the others. We like that. I think overwhelmingly the most important issues to our group were 1 and 2. And then there was, variety, focus on sustainability and security. The pedestrian experience, the proximity to transit. And then Macy reported back from some of her meetings with residents that in addition to 1 and 2 and 5 and 11 and 9, which we've already mentioned, the parking is important to residents, the pedestrian experience, the traffic. And so that's not unusual that that would be important to the residents. Next. We really valued the comments that Nayeli made on behalf of the youth group that's meeting in a parallel process. And just thought it would be great to hear more and to make sure that there's, feedback back and forth between the groups. And of course, the youth are invited to attend the neighborhood meetings. And maybe there'll be more opportunities to get their specific ideas incorporated into this process. So rest of the group, please add to what I.
Great.
Thank you, Jen.
Great job, Jen.
That's wonderful.
Great job, Jen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
No, that's a wonderful summary, and then lots of feedback there. I think we'll go ahead to the next breakout room, and that will be my room. We didn't get quite that far in our group, but we did have some really great discussion and got some great feedback. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to pull it up on my screen here.
Who will be representing the call?
So today, Marjean's going to summarize our discussion.
Great.
So hi, everybody. My name is Marjean. We had a great team. We had a mixture of the hub manager, we have former foster youth, we have neighbors that are near the area. We also just have people who live downtown, people who go to Fumax a lot and just are always in this area. So there was a mixture. So we really got really good feedback from everybody. Can go to the next slide. So we didn't finish because we were very caught up in the first 2 questions. We're just giving up a lot of ideas. Some of the members talked about we want the space to feel welcoming to families. So we were talking about having like barbecue pits. We were talking about having a space for kids. There was an idea of maybe having a rooftop where we can add this stuff, maybe like basketball courts, just so the residents are going to be living there have an outside space. We also wanted to make it feel welcoming. We didn't want that government vibe, so we wanted to incorporate like flowers, more of a nature vibe. What else did we talk about? We talked about just pretty much that, just having rooftops, having an outdoor space, making it friendly, and again kind of going away from that government vibe by adding more of like murals, which kind of led to our next slide. we all definitely agreed that it should have a lot of art, not just outside the building, but also inside the building. We talked about maybe having like former foster youth who have been part of the program and who are doing big things just so other former foster youth or current foster youth kind of look up to them. We also talked about how kind of what the other team was saying, it should be a reflection of the population. So also incorporating youth to be part of these murals, having boys have an input on what's going to be going in the walls. Again, not just outside, but also inside of the building.
Okay. Can I go to the next slide here?
Yeah, so again, we were really, we really wanted a welcoming. So again, kind of adding that nature aspect. Somebody mentioned that pretty much when we look across, all we're gonna see is parking lots. So again, we wanted to add more of those, like maybe more flowers. Somebody said that was a great idea to keep the tree that is already there, just so again, we can have that sense of nature outside. Sorry, what slide are we on?
Sorry, I just went ahead. You're talking about the parking lot. So I went ahead and do the next slide here.
Yeah, and then so for this slide, there was a lot of talk in this slide because there was some concern. They did mention that there's an exit, freeway exit, and that obviously we don't want anything bad to happen to the residents. So we were also talking about maybe adding like the flashlights, kind of like similar like to Willow Glen, where they have like the lighting. So in the nighttime, if students are crossing or residents are crossing, like traffic at least sees that there's a student passing by. Again, we were maybe talking about just encouraging the walkway that you are all gonna build in. So maybe like that door where you're all putting it's a great idea. But there was also talk about just adding more to it. Again, just encouraging students to really use a walkway, because I mean, sometimes we do have jaywalkers, or sometimes it's just easier to go through the other way. So again, we wanted to really, we even talked about maybe putting a light. Again, these are some of the things where maybe like out of our control, but maybe like figuring out if that's something that we can do, just because we do want to, more than anything, we want to provide safety for the residents. Especially one of the hub managers was saying that a lot of our students don't actually have cars, and some of the residents are going to be walking, they are going to be on bikes. So it's very important for their safety and to just make sure that they have that safety kind of taken care of. And again, we know some of these things are out of our control, but we definitely wanted to just make sure that that is incorporated, at least the lights, or somebody mentioned just walking with the red flags, just to again give this visibility that someone's walking by.
Wonderful. And this was our last slide. Jane, you want to say a few words about this?
Yes. So actually, I did skip it. So yeah. So we were talking about art. This was definitely a hot topic. When we saw the pictures of like the butterflies, we're like, yes, this is exactly what we were talking about. Just the murals are. I feel like murals always bring everything to life, and we want to like pretty much tell the community like, yes, this is a resident, this is a hub, but this is a special place. Like it's not just any residence, like we have special people living in here. As a former foster youth myself, I feel like always looking at like quote inspirational quotes, just looking at something nice is always, it makes you feel very welcoming. So it kind of goes back to that one question about feeling very welcoming. But again, it also kind of gives it your own type of like, this is my home and this is what I created and this is what I inputted. So again, it's having the youth that are going to be part of this program to also create a lot of input and to have representation of the community, like I mentioned, outside and also inside.
Okay, great, wonderful. Thank you, Marjane, for that summary. And apologies to the group, we didn't get much further than that, but we'll hopefully have a chance the next go round to address those. I want to go to room number 3 and invite group number 3 to share their Jamboard and
I will share
give
my
us a summary.
Jamboard. Do Jane or Sarah feel like talking us through these? We got caught off guard a little at the end and did not have a volunteer yet. Jane or Sarah?
I can give it a shot.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I probably should let you do this. Sorry.
I can do this slide, and I think you'd be good to go on the next slide.
Okay.
So we had Jane, Sarah, Bruce, and Chloe in our neighborhood, in our group, and you can see where roughly they live in the neighborhood.
Okay, so thanks, Lisa. So for the site to feel welcoming, we had some ideas about trees and vegetation, plenty of parking, an atrium in the hub for greater light, a community garden area for the housing units, a suggestion for art in the hallways of the housing units. So, yeah. How can the site be welcoming and supportive for the youth, that let the youth be involved in designing it? And to improve the pedestrian experience, look at how we can help people who are already living in the area, have secure storage for bikes for residents and visitors, landscaping for the pathways, and a pond to make it nice for people walking nearby. Safe and accessible crossing, sidewalks, crosswalks with mobility aids, and looking at bike safety between the VTA and the new hub, and the hub and San Jose City College. So safe bike lanes. And as far as the art, we all like the idea of art on the buildings, and getting the youth involved. There were some ideas of involving students in the neighborhood, or the children's musical theater a theme, or involving tying a theme with that, with the building art, possibly connecting with the neighborhood. Ideas for sustainability, just thought of solar panels for the roof, and recycling and composting, less plastics, disposable plastics. And as far as the designs of the building designs, we like the top two, preferred those, but we also like the idea of bringing in more curvature to the actual building designs, a little bit less rectangular, less sharp edges, and so, and yeah, I think those are, we like the depth in the facade of the upper right. We didn't, yeah, so just a couple comments there.
Yeah, and that's as far as we made it.
Okay. All right.
Well, thank you, group 3, and thanks for that report out. Really excellent feedback. Macy, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Paul, Rod, and Lisa, and all of the folks who reported out and the team. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to go on the end. Next slide. And as mentioned, we are here to continue our dialogues with you. So at any point you want to reach out, this is the email and Google Doc. And the next slide. And again, this is a more a general version, so you can get the screen share and send me an email or just put any of your comments or share the Google Doc with anyone that you think would want to contribute to comments, and we can have that on our end and listen in continuously. So last slide. We would love to come back to everyone here and anyone who would be interested in our next 2 meetings. It's going to be in the next 2 months. We will be sending out an email invitation to you to come back once we gather all of the Jamboard feedback from all 3 groups and all the thoughts that we've had from everyone. Put our heads together, figure out how we want to put this on the site, come up with some options, and come back to everyone to share our progress. And that will be our visioning session next time. So I would love to have you guys join and invite whoever would like to join again. And if anyone who missed today's meeting and wants to touch base with us, feel free to have them email us or contact me as well. I want to open this up just to the group in our last 5 minutes or so for any questions or comments from anyone in the audience. Feel free to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, ask the questions, comments. And we can start now. We'll give it a few minutes. Or any feedback would be great.
Are you going to send us an email so that we can, an actual email address? Because it's hard for me to get it off of Zoom.
Yes, I'll be happy to do that. If you can put your email in the chat box, I'll make sure I send you one.
Okay, chat box, let me see. Okay, chat. There it is.
It was a great introduction to the project, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate that. Thank you, Robert.
I think that was Sarah.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Sarah. I saw you unmute yourself, Jane.
But thank you too. I appreciate seeing what's happening and being able to offer some feedback and getting the postcard in the mail. That's how I discovered all of the foster youth efforts and the hub ideas and came to participate. So thank you for all the work everyone is doing.
Thank you so much, Jane. Kudos to the county for this vision and this effort. So we're happy to partner with all of you guys in the county to make this happen.
I know it hasn't been decided yet who all is going to be living there, but my personal preference is that the highest priority and hopefully the largest percent of the occupants of the 80+ units will be the aged out foster youth.
Thank you. That's what I've been saying.
I piggyback on that. I mentioned it to Macy when I first met her on the 13th, was it? Yeah, on the 13th. It's such a, it fits with the vision of the hub, being by the hub, by foster youth, for foster youth. And even though, sometimes it's looked at as a separate, housing is one thing and the hub is another thing, but because it's literally right on top, sharing the same parking lot, sharing the same space, I definitely vote for current and former foster youth.
Definitely, and it's such a good location for them between the college and the VTA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments. Part of why we're doing this is because we see this as a holistic project and not just to build housing on its own, but as an integrated service and hub and serving the youth and our communities via housing and the hub. So we're going to do our best to work with everyone in the county to look at best practices on housing versus hub and come up with a solution that would be great both for the hub and also for the housing component. Andrew and County, do you guys have anything else to add to that?
I had a question based on the first presentation. Someone mentioned up to 81 units. that mean that 81 units will be built, or somewhere between 0 and 81 will be built? Or not known at this time?
Thanks, Elena. Andrew Barnes, County of Santa Clara. That was my slide. Yes, as of right now, we're looking at the density for the site. And although it is up to 81 units, we are looking in that 81 unit range for the project. Things can always change as you get your layouts and you get your floor plans. But generally speaking, that's the number that we're looking at as being feasible for this site and desirable. And it's subject to some change, obviously, but that's kind of a benchmark for it.
Any questions, comments? Oh, Jane?
Yeah, thank you, Macy. Yeah, I'm just curious, what happens as youth age out of, these age ranges? Is there a community of them that, or is this like a new opportunity for them to stay connected, down the road and potentially help the younger youth? In my experience with mental health, I'm a proactive advocate in the community for folks in that, because of my own experiences. So I'm just thinking that the older, foster youth that have become foster adults, might be, is there an outreach or way to stay connected with them that they might want to, volunteer, even invest some of their time to support the younger youth?
Thank you for that question. I think Dawn will be the most suitable to answer that.
Jane, that's a really complex question in and of itself, just because of the opportunity gaps that exist for our foster youth, right? I mean, they have a lot of challenges that we are trying to bridge and provide connections for. Like, we have Elena, who is one of our career development team members, who coach and provide mentoring for our foster youth and connect them to paid internship programs, trying to build their resiliency and develop work experiences and those kind of things. So I think it's a very broad kind of project in terms of the current funding that we have from state and federal sources. It's the cutoff is at 25 years old, and so in terms of the population that we're serving, there is going to be that natural need and gap post 25, and so we're doing the best we can to provide the resources for our youth. Starting at 15 and a half, we're identifying our foster youth and getting them connected into independent living programs. And this is where the hub has been so instrumental in that development, because it's creating a integrated one-stop hub, or that's what it's called. But to get them connected to everything that we need. And that's kind of why I was selling that vision of what you need as an adult living on your own. And I'm probably not doing it justice, but Nayeli could probably speak more to her own lived experiences and what foster youth need. I know that there's always gaps that we are trying to fill, and these engagement opportunities really help us to think through and find opportunities where they exist.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning, because the gap that you're speaking about is something that I have brought up to the hub and to other county members. And we are aware that the county is I'm just gonna say it's failing our former foster youth, because not everyone grows up at the same rate, no matter how many resources you try to provide to a youth, just because we don't grow up and we're not raised the same way that
Yeah.
a teenager who has who's raised by your typical family. And because of that, yes, we can come across a lot of mental issues that can put us behind. And sometimes we're not ready to live on our own at 25 years old. We still need those resources to be successful. And when those resources are not available, are just everything just ends abruptly when you turn 25, is not acceptable to us. And that is where we come in, and that is where I come in as a foster youth advocate, to advocate for services to still be continued even after we turn 28. I know that at some point we are aware that those services do have to end, because eventually our goal is to be able to be successful people, to serve our communities, to be productive. We don't always want to live off these services, or we want to be able to have the capacity to do everything on our own. But we do need that support in order to do that. So, and I'm glad that Amy is here, because that is something that is very concerning to us, that the hub follows that age limit of the county, which is 25 years old. But that's where, and I've told this, Amy, to what's her name? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't have her name at the tip. So
It's okay, man.
I'm sorry. But I have mentioned this to DFCS, that when services end at 21, they're leaving that gap for youth to not be successful. And so I would definitely like to bring that up more, just because I have also brought up, that we want to be peer support to younger youth and show them that they can also do it just like how we're doing it. That doesn't mean that we're not going to do what we have to do. It's just another encouragement and another support for us to get there.
I want to chime in and bring a rainbow to the situation. That Jane, you bring up a really good point of what happens after 25, and Nayeli is one of those future leaders that ties it all together and says my lived experiences aren't going to shape my future or determine it. And I say we because I'm a former foster youth myself, 20 years removed from the foster care system, but we end up becoming workers, mentors, and leaders in the community that make a difference within programs. So, there's something great that comes out of the hub. And as the current hub program manager, I'm really looking forward to seeing really great outcomes and a strong sense of community in a forever home.
Okay, well, real good. Thank you, Monica, and thank you, Nayeli. And I just want to mention, I was in Sacramento last week. There's a California Association of Mental Health peer-run organizations, and I was the only one from Santa Clara County, and I'm looking for any peer-run organizations. Blackbird, I don't know if the hub could be considered that might be interested in joining the larger consumer movement that CAMPRO is, we're having once a year, conference. I mean, it was, since COVID, it'd been a couple years, and I'd been away for quite a few years myself, but I'm rejoining that effort. And I was involved with the Mental Health Services Act, passing that, and, before that. So, TAY has always been important to me, and then just connecting with the larger peer movement. I just want people to be aware that there is one, and that I'm hoping to have a greater voice in Santa Clara County. So thank you so much, Nayeli and Monica, and hopefully we can connect again. I think also on my way back from Sacramento, I stopped in Contra Costa County and Alameda County, and they've had longer time group peer efforts, Pool of Consumer Champions in Alameda County, and the Spirit community college course going for 25 years. They've been educating, peer specialists through the community college, and that could be available to us, a 6-month program, I believe. And, graduates and peers and lived experience is the focus. And, I was, at first I was thinking, well, can we bring it to City College? And then I thought, well, shoot, a lot of stuff is online now too. So maybe we could, just bring awareness maybe of that and to Santa Clara County. And then also there was a flyer I saw. It was a crash course orientation on Contra Costa County mental health system. And this is such a complex system in Santa Clara County. And they have a free one-time seminar once a month. I think it's maybe in coordination with their NAMI, but it's an orientation to the resources in the Contra Costa County mental health system. So, I might suggest that at a future stakeholder meeting with the Santa Clara Mental Health Department. But anyway, sorry, just offering a couple thoughts.
Thank you very much, Jane and Dawn and Nayeli and Monica, for offering your thoughts. And I really appreciate hearing everyone's perspective. I remember when we did our youth engagement last week or week and a half, in our breakout room, we had several youth, the HUB youth, who were so appreciative of the HUB services and mentioned they learned new skill set, became carpenters, and now they have their own businesses and married. So I see a lot of wonderful things that came out of the HUB and the impact that it has on the youth in our breakout rooms with the youth. So I really appreciate Nayeli raising this issue of how important it is the HUB is to the foster youth and youth, and also the work that we're doing. I want to open this up to one last question, and then we can wrap in consideration of everyone's time. Any last comments, questions? It's 8:14. If not, thank you again for spending your time with us. We appreciate all of your comments. We will work hard, go back to our drawing board and put together some visionings for you guys and reach out to you guys again. And we really appreciate, we're accessible anytime. Call me, email me, Zoom, text me, I'm here, or any of our HKIT team if you want to discuss further. And we want to incorporate everyone's input. So with that said, thank you so much again. And we will see you in a month. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.